Here's a statistic that'll blow your mind. The average person who buys a self-help book reads exactly 18% of it. That's right. They spend their hard-earned money, crack open the first chapter, maybe the second, and then nothing. The book sits on their nightstand collecting dust while they scroll through TikTok looking for the next quick fix. But here's what's even more shocking. Those who do finish these books, 97% of them never implement a single strategy. They consume the information like it's entertainment, nod along thinking, that's brilliant, and then go right back to their old patterns. I know this because I used to be one of those people. Over the past 6 years, I've read over 100 self-help books, from classics like Think and Grow Rich to modern hits like Atomic Habits and The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I'm about to share 3 counterintuitive truths that will completely change how you approach personal development. These aren't feel-good platitudes or motivational fluff. These are practical insights that separate the 3% who actually transform their lives from the 97% who stay stuck in the self-help consumption cycle. By the end of this video, you'll understand why most self-help advice fails, and more importantly, how to make it actually work for you. Lesson 1. Action beats perfection every single time. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah was obsessed with productivity systems. She'd read every book about time management, downloaded dozens of apps, watched countless YouTube videos about the perfect morning routine. She could tell you about the Pomodoro technique, getting things done, time blocking, and the Eisenhower matrix. She was a walking encyclopedia of productivity wisdom. But Sarah's desk was still a mess. Her projects were still behind deadline, and she was still stressed, overwhelmed, and feeling like a fraud. The problem? Sarah had fallen into what I call the preparation prison, the belief that you need to have all the information before you can start taking action. She was waiting for the perfect system, the perfect moment, the perfect level of knowledge. This is where Dale Carnegie's 90-year-old wisdom from How to Win Friends and Influence People becomes absolutely crucial. He quotes British philosopher Herbert Spencer. The great aim of education is not knowledge, but action. And this is an action book. That single line changed everything for me. Because here's the truth nobody wants to admit. You already know enough to get started. Think about it. If you want to lose weight, you don't need to read 47 books about nutrition. You know you should eat more vegetables and move your body more. If you want to build better relationships, you don't need a PhD in psychology. You know you should listen more and judge less. If you want to start that business, you don't need to master every possible scenario. You know you should start with one customer and one solution. The magic happens in the implementation, not in the information gathering. So here's my challenge to you. For every self-help book you read, pick exactly 3 concepts, not 5, not 10, but 3, and implement them within 48 hours. Not next week, not when you feel ready, but within 2 days. When I started doing this, everything changed. I read Deep Work by Cal Newport and immediately blocked 3 hours on my calendar for focused work that same day. I read The Power of Now and set a phone reminder to take 3 conscious breaths every hour. Were these implementations perfect? Absolutely not. Did they change my life? Absolutely yes. Because here's what happens when you take imperfect action. You get data. You learn what works for your personality, your schedule, your life. You discover what the books can't teach you, how these concepts feel in practice, not just in theory. The goal isn't to become an expert on self-improvement. The goal is to actually improve yourself. And that only happens when you close the book and open your life to experimentation. Lesson 2, question everything, even the experts. This might sound controversial, but here it is. Most self-help advice is wrong for you specifically. I don't mean the advice is bad. I mean it's wrong for you, your personality, your circumstances, your goals, your life stage. And this is where most people go completely off the rails. They find an author they like, let's say Tim Ferriss or Tony Robbins or Mel Robbins, and they try to become that person. They adopt their morning routine, their mindset, their strategies, everything. And when it doesn't work perfectly, they assume they're broken, not the system. But here's what I learned after reading dozens of conflicting pieces of advice. The best self help authors aren't trying to give you a one size fits all solution. They're sharing what worked for them, hoping it sparks something that will work for you. Take morning routines, for example. You've got authors swearing by 5 a.m. wake ups, cold showers, meditation, journaling, exercise, sometimes all before 7 a.m. But what if you're naturally a night owl? What if you have young kids? What if you work night shifts? I spent months trying to force myself into an optimal morning routine because that's what all the successful people were doing. I'd set my alarm for 5:30 a.m., hit snooze 3 times, finally drag myself out of bed at 6:15, rush through a half-hearted workout, skip the meditation because I was running late, and start my day feeling like a failure. Then I read The Power of When by Dr. Michael Bruce, which introduced me to chronotypes, the idea that we have different biological rhythms. Turns out I'm a wolf, someone whose energy naturally peaks later in the day. My most productive hours are 10 p.m. to midnight, not 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. Once I stopped fighting my biology and started working with it, everything clicked. I moved my deep work to the evening, my exercise to mid-morning, and my creative projects to late night. Suddenly, I wasn't forcing myself into someone else's definition of success. This is where critical thinking becomes crucial. Every time you encounter advice, ask yourself, what's the author's background and bias? How does this fit with my personality and lifestyle? What would a modified version look like for me? What's the underlying principle I can adapt? The most dangerous phrase in self-help is, you should. Because the truth is, you shouldn't do anything just because someone else did it. You should experiment, test, and adapt based on your unique situation. The best self-help authors understand this. They present principles, not prescriptions. They share what worked for them while encouraging you to find what works for you. The worst authors present their way as the only way. Your job as a reader isn't to become a carbon copy of your favorite author. Your job is to become the best version of yourself, using their insights as raw material for your own experiment. Lesson 3. Stop looking for your guru. You already found them. Here's the hardest truth I learned from reading 100 self-help books. You are the only person who can save you. I know. That sounds like generic motivational poster nonsense. But stick with me, because this insight literally changed my life. For years, I was addicted to finding the perfect mentor, the perfect book, the perfect course that would finally give me all the answers. I'd read about some entrepreneur's morning routine and think, this is it. This is the secret. Then I'd read about another expert's productivity system and think, no, wait, this is the real answer. I was what you might call a guru hopper, always searching for the next teacher, the next methodology, the next breakthrough that would finally fix all my problems. But here's what I discovered. Every guru is just sharing their interpretation of universal principles. They're not magic, they're not special. They just figured out how to apply timeless wisdom to their specific situation. The real breakthrough came when I realized that I had already absorbed enough information to transform my life completely. The missing piece wasn't more knowledge. It was the confidence to trust my own judgment and create my own system. Think about it. You probably already know that gratitude improves happiness, that exercise boosts energy, that deep relationships matter more than shallow ones, that focus beats multitasking, that consistency trumps perfection. You don't need another book to tell you these things. What you need is to become your own experiment designer, to take all this wisdom you've accumulated and create a personalized system that works for your life. So instead of asking, what would Tony Robbins do? Start asking, what would the best version of me do? Instead of copying someone else's morning routine, design your own based on your energy levels, your schedule, your goals. This doesn't mean ignoring experts or stopping your learning. It means shifting from passive consumption to active creation. It means treating every piece of advice as a hypothesis to test, not a rule to follow. The moment you stop looking for your guru and realize you've been your own guru all along. That's when real transformation begins. Because nobody knows your life better than you do. Nobody understands your challenges, your dreams, your strengths, and your limitations better than you do. The best self-help authors aren't trying to become your guru. They're trying to help you become your own. So here's my challenge. Stop consuming and start creating. Take the wisdom you've already absorbed and turn it into experiments. Test what works, discard what doesn't, and build your own system based on evidence from your own life. The self-help industry will keep pumping out new books with new promises and new secrets. But the real secret has been inside you all along. The power to take imperfect action. Think critically about advice and trust yourself to find your own path. You don't need to read 100 books like I did to figure this out. You just need to start where you are, with what you have, right now. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe if you liked it, and remember, you've got everything you need to get started.